Forests cover over a third of the land area on our planet. They are found on almost every continent except Europe and Antarctica, and could be argued to be the most important wonder of the world. There are three types of forests: tropical, temperate, and boreal forests, as stated by the California Academy of Sciences. Tropical rainforests are located in South America, Asia, Africa, and parts of Australia, while temperate forests mainly reside in North America. Boreal forests are located in regions between 50 and 60 degrees north latitude, mainly Eurasia and North America. Some of the most famous forests include the Amazon, the Congo Basin, the Mekong Forest, and the Sumatra. According to the World Wildlife Fund, the biodiversity found in forests accounts for about 80% of the world's known animal and insect species and 50% of the known terrestrial species on Earth. It is also estimated that there are about 41 million people around the world who rely on local forests for jobs and resources. Tropical rainforests are characterized by their species and mass diversity within the jungles. These species need the specific tropical environment to build habitats and live comfortably, so these rainforests are incredibly valuable for their livelihood. Though the depth of the rainforest species and their habitat lifestyles are fascinating, and every living thing is unique, the rainforest is famous for even more. Rainforests throughout the world mitigate climate change by the use of the carbon sink, a term described by the community carbon trees as a natural environment such as an ocean or forest that absorbs more carbon from the atmosphere than it releases into the atmosphere. One tree in the tropical rainforest absorbs a minimum of 50 pounds of carbon dioxide each year, which then converts the energy into water vapor and forms reflective clouds that ultimately cool the earth. The lungs of the earth, as named by Al Jazeera, an independent news source based in Qatar, is absolutely crucial to mitigating climate change because human activity accounts for most of the pollution emitted into the atmosphere, so rainforests are needed to reabsorb all of the gases in the air. The water cycle acts as the regulator of all life within the rainforests, as water is moved throughout the plants and atmosphere to keep the moisture secure. The water cycle of the rainforest is made up of evapotranspiration, the process of water evaporation through plants, condensation, precipitation, and runoff. Rainforests could not thrive without this cycle, as it is essential to sustaining the lives of the species within the jungles. Rainforests play a huge role in the environment and are needed to provide a balance to the atmosphere through the absorption of carbon. But this could all be changing.
Pay attention.
Deforestation is a destructive act that is defined by Encyclopedia Britannica as the clearing or thinning of forests by humans. It poses a threat to the wildlife full of rare species residing in the forests, particularly the Amazon, and kills off natural habitats for surrounding flora and fauna. The Amazon rainforest has been depleted through deforestation by vast amounts due to cross-cutting and burning for the usage of cattle ranching, logging, and urbanization uses, such as manufacturing of shampoo or the origins of the donut. The World Wildlife Fund is an organization whose motto is to challenge the threats to nature and help ensure its ability to provide, for the sake of every living thing, including ourselves. They work globally to preserve the world's most important forest, to sustain nature's diversity and benefit our climate. The regions of forests most affected by deforestation, as reported by the WWF, include South America, Central Africa, Southeastern Asia, and Eastern Australia. According to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, 70% of tropical deforestation dedicated to agricultural clearing is precipitated by logging and mining roads. In fact, there is furniture you may use every day which has accounted for a part of deforestation. According to Rainforest Relief, a group who focuses on reducing the imports of tropical wood into the U.S., much of the high-value lumber, such as mahogany, is illegally taken by crews to make doors, coffins, flooring, and decking. Deforestation is rapidly growing for these industries and more as the forest is disappearing right before our eyes. Earth Observatory, a program developed by NASA to monitor Earth systems, explains that subsistence farmers who grow crops to meet daily needs use this land to plant crops for local towns and their own families, but do not realize the damage that they are doing to the environment, such as releasing the stored carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and destroying habitats. Subsistence farming was the most popular form of deforestation until the early 2000s, when cattle ranching and logging became the most dominant cause of forest degradation. Cattle ranching first took off in South America and Central Africa in 1970 when the agricultural sector became one of the most prominent GDP indicators, so trees were cleared in huge masses for livestock fields and agriculture. Logging has become the number one industry for clearing forests, mainly the Amazon, and the trees are torn down in huge sections at a time. Though logging is an enormous industry and manufacturers use vast amounts of lumber for infrastructure development, the trees of the rainforest are also torn down for everyday products in most households. Resources found in the trees and plants of rainforests all over the world have been stripped for cosmetic and hair products for consumers over the past few decades. Associated Newspapers reports that some of the worst culprits of taking excess amounts of palm oil, which is derived from the fruit of the mesocarp from Africa, include Cadbury, used for Oreo biscuits and Ritz crackers, Hershey, Kellogg's, and Kraft Heinz. We must put limits on these companies to keep the rainforest safe to ensure that there is no threat to the rainforest in the future. Greenpeace is an organization whose vision explains their passion for protecting the environment and atmosphere and to create a greener and more peaceful world to live in. They created an ad to combat deforestation and call out perpetrators who carry out these harmful acts. The ad features an animated orangutan entering a girl's room and telling her in rhyme the danger that his home is in because of the clearing of the rainforest.
No. There's a human in my forest, and I don't know what to do. He destroyed all of our trees for your food and your shampoo. There's a human in my forest, and I don't know what to do. He took away my mother, and I'm scared he'll take me too. There are humans in my forest, and I don't know what to do. They're burning it for palm oil.
Over 1 million people have signed an online petition through Greenpeace to end dirty palm oil, an ingredient used to make products for brands like Unilever, Mondelez, and Nestle, to save the orangutans and other species that are at risk for habitat loss. Because the Amazon is at the most risk, companies such as the World Wildlife Fund, Rainforest Relief, and Greenpeace focus on this rainforest because of its beneficial value to the world's atmosphere and South America's biodiversity. Biodiversity, which is the variety and variability of life on Earth, is one of the rainforest's most famous attributes and is also important for the survival of local indigenous people residing among the jungles. Yusilia Wang wrote for the media outlet GreenBiz that the lungs of the earth are under assault, and their well-being will worsen without bold recovery plans from businesses and governments, meaning that the conservation of the forests is important for the ecosystems residing in them, and that we must construct a plan of action to stop deforestation. Deforestation affects the indigenous people who live around the forests and use the natural resources for beneficial reasons such as fresh water, clothes, and traditional medicine. It is estimated by Survival National, a global movement for tribal peoples, that there are around 400 Indian tribes who reside in the Amazon, each with their own language, culture, and territory. Many of these tribes have been in contact with outsiders for over 500 years, but some tribes, such as the Pirapgura, have denied all contact from the outside world and wish to live in isolation within the rainforest. This tribe and others have been threatened by travelers and white hunters, so they have been known to hide in various parts of the rainforest and reject contact with anyone outside of the Amazon. The majority of these tribes live peacefully in the jungles and keep to themselves. Logging is a huge threat to these tribes as they live within the forests and use the trees for shelter, water, and food. FUNAI, the National Indian Foundation of Brazil, is an organization that uses donations and various funding to provide resources to the tribes who agree to contact the outside world. This is the only government department in the world which is dedicated to the protection of indigenous Indians within the Amazon rainforest. Around 1.6 billion people rely on these benefits that the rainforests offer, so the destruction of these native environments alter lives in devastating ways. With these resources lost, the surrounding people may not be able to survive, and the clearing of the forests would account to the indigenous tribes dying out. A serious change needs to happen to sustain these beautiful areas of nature for future generations, and some companies are switching over to alternative resources for their products and have been campaigning for all industries to do the same. GreenBiz also reported that companies such as Apple, H&M, Kimberly-Clark, and L'Oreal are fighting to stop deforestation while maintaining their businesses by increasing the use of sustainable materials in their products and packaging. Though companies play a huge role in the future of sustainability, governmental action is the most important factor in reducing deforestation. Currently, the Brazilian government has failed to prioritize the protection of the Amazon as they have reduced regulations on deforestation in recent years. The World Wildlife Fund stated that Brazil's original Forest Code of 1965 established a proportion of rural land that should be maintained by the federal government, but this has not held up to its original standards. It is claimed that there are about 400 men on watch for 15 million hectares of land, which allows a lot of free space for illegal logging to take place. Studies reveal that the revised Forest Code proposal could have negative effects on a region roughly equivalent to Germany, Italy, and Austria combined. This new law allows open areas of the Amazon to be exposed to poachers, loggers, and cattle ranchers. Leaving these areas vulnerable to destruction is almost an invitation for deforestation to occur, as there is no one to protect these innocent jungles.
Then we saw the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all.
By examining the extreme consequences of deforestation and the impact on the environment, humans can help through donations, activism within their communities such as recycling and purchasing organic sustainable products, and becoming aware of new laws that can help these forests. We have a chance to save the future. Are you willing to contribute?